When I met Philipp Kroetz, the CEO of Allianz Direct, in their headquarters in the Werkviertel in Munich, it was immediately clear that this was something completely different. This part of the city boasts startups, young innovative tech firms, among which many insurtechs, and being in the middle of this community sends a strong signal. Allianz Direct is leading the charge for their digital insurance offerings. And just like all those companies around them, they are customer obsessed and have a love for data. We invited Philipp to speak about the future of direct insurance. Please welcome on stage, Philipp Kroetz.
Thank you very much. I know it's the after lunch slot, so probably people keep coming. I have a lot of sympathy for that. I'm really thrilled to be here. As you know, it's the first time I'm at DIA, and I'm really looking forward to these 20 minutes. The topic I'd like to talk about is disruption at scale. And you guys are disruption, for sure. You have unleashed a massive revolution in the insurance industry. You have changed the way the industry works. And you got us pretty worried if you're sitting in one of the large insurers. You got a lot of attention from us, but as I said, also quite a few worries from our side. Why? Because you have done things that we wanted to do and didn't quite get to it. So you might very well ask, Allianz Direct, nice company, but what is my legitimacy coming from Allianz Group to talk about disruption? And there is really nothing I could show you, but I can tell you a bit what was also in the intro that makes a difference. If you come to our premises in Munich, you will find a UI UX guy in a very fancy Hawaii shirt. You will find a 29-year-old online marketeer that runs around in sneakers. But you will also find our chief actuary who's in his 50s and actually likes his suit. You will find a lady who does process mining, has started in a contact center and has made that her trade. And you will also find our Irish CTO, which by the way is later on stage, so I make a bit of advertising for him. He's later on stage, who is not just trying to crack technology issues, but he's trying to crack insurance industry issues. And they're all bound together by one thing, and that one thing is the stubborn desire to change this industry and to scale at the same time. Not in a corporate venture, not in an initiative, not as a sidekick, but as a real company. And I will talk about that real company today. Now, we come a bit to the elephant in the room, what the title says, disruption at scale. What is that? It's fair to say none of us has cracked this because some have scale and some have the disruption, but we have never brought it together. Also, if you go through it, thinking what makes disruption at scale really working, you need to have a lot of ingredients right. Some of us had the technology, many of you have the technology. Some of you had the distribution, some had the money, some had the products and the servicing part. There was really nobody who brought it all together at the same time. For sure, big players like us, we have tried, and you can see a bit the outcome. We have been all waiting for some of the big techs coming in and swooping us all out of the market. Now that hasn't happened. But if you look at the last 10 years, even the most skilled startups, the most skilled scale-ups, they have struggled to reach real scale. I'm not talking about 500,000 clients, 1 million clients, 2 million, 3 million clients. I'm talking 10, 20, 30, 50, 70 million clients. So really to get scale and disruption at the same time. And that is what Allianz Direct was tasked to do in 2019. That's the journey we embarked on. To tick all those boxes you see here at the same time in the same setup. And here we are, 3 years later. We've ticked a lot of these boxes. Let's go through it. We work primarily in direct insurance, so direct and affinities and aggregators. We're now slightly north of €1 billion revenues. We grow with 10%, with, by the end of the year, around 3 million clients. We have a very consistent setup for our products, same products across countries, motor, home, liability, and we started travel 1.5 years ago. 900 people running this in a full vertical organization across the countries, in full agile, not by the textbook, but agile in reality. And all of it is based on one single platform, the same setup for all countries, all in the cloud, and not 2 or 3 deployments a year, but 10 a day. And we're live now in 4 countries. We're going live in the 5th as we speak. So on July 1st, we'll be in France as well, bringing online the last country in the row that we wanted to be in. That's a project that took us about 3 months from the decision to actually get it live. So you could say we're doing well, but what was the one thing that we really had to change? And that one thing was the platform. Allianz has the distribution, Allianz has the brand, Allianz for sure has the products, we have the size, we have the scale, we have the money. We didn't have a really, really cool platform. And that is what we embarked on in 2019, to build really a very, very cool platform. Now, you can fall into the trap, which you often do. If it's not built by yourself, it can't be great. We didn't fall into the trap. We built some stuff ourselves. We used our core system called Allianz Business System, but then we ventured out to the market to find who is the best player in the specific trade that we want to work with. And we really went through the list. In pricing, we use Radar. We're now working since recently with Accurate. For claims, we have the leaders like Control Expert, like Solved, like Innovation Group on our side. We have a big obsession with process mining, so we work a lot with Celonis. It's fully embedded into our platform. Data platform is on AWS. Customer experience is run through Adobe, CRM through Salesforce, Twilio is our contact center, SAP as gold standard in finance, and payment through Adyen. None of that stuff we built ourselves. We integrated the best we could find in the market in our platform. And we keep going. It's not static. We add every month, every half year, additional partners to our platform. So you could say the one thing that we were lacking, we kind of managed to crack. The second thing we're lacking was to bring it all together. And that is what Allianz Direct is. It's the company where we all brought it together. The distribution, the products, the technology, and the people. And now you could ask, where do we stand? Because technology is not an objective in itself. It's just a means to an end. And the end is to have really cool customer experience and to be really competitive. So let's take a look at that. When we talk about competitiveness in Allianz Group, we very often talk about unit costs, because if you're not good at unit economics, you can't have high hopes for the outcome. So a lot of the attention goes into not being good, not being almost great. Our ambition is to really be the best. And we have a program we call Beat the Best. So in each market, we know who is the leader in unit economics, and we really want to understand what they are doing right, and we want to be at par or hopefully better. And we're on a good track to that. Compared to 2021, our unit costs came down on average 30% in all markets. In the most advanced markets, even 50%. That's a huge step. We're almost at par with our best competitors in the markets, but we want to go further. So we're going to push in the next 18 months another 20% unit cost improvement through our organization to get better competitiveness and to be better in value for money for our clients. One key ingredient is also, again, related to the platform. That key ingredient is we want to be the leader in self-service. Not 20, not 40, not 50%, but really to the max. 100% would be nice. Reality is probably more like 95 that you can achieve. That's the goal we go for. Have self-service as much as you humanly can to have the best unit cost in the market. And the cool thing about self-service is not just cool economics, but it's all cool customer experience. People really like immediacy. People like if they can do things on their own, at the time they want to do it, where they want to do it, and how they want to do it. And that's what we want to enable. If you look at our customer feedback, it shows exactly that. Unit costs came down, customer experience dramatically went up. Yeah? Last year, January, we're at 4.1 across all markets. Nothing to write home about. We're now at 4.5 in all markets, and the trend will lead us to 4.7 in all markets. Still not the best of the best, but pretty close and pretty reasonable across the market. That's what we want to do. Cool unit cost economics, and at the same time, super good customer experience. If you get the technology, if you get the competitiveness, if you get good customer experience, you could say growth is just an outcome, and it kind of is. And that's what is on the next page. We'll trend toward 3 million clients by the end of the year. We're growing at around 10%. We want to accelerate that, and we're quite confident that we can. This would bring us to 5 million clients in 2026, and before the decade is over, it would be at 10 million clients. And those are 10 million clients not by making a loss. We have doubled our profit last year. We'll increase it by another 50% this year. So we'll make more money and be growing at the same time. And we do this while we have as all of us, pretty bad inflationary headwinds coming towards us in the market. Now you could say 10 minutes are over, it's a good ending, it's growing, it's profitable, it's reasonably big. What else to talk about? Well, I said scale is not 10 million clients. Scale is 20, scale is 30, scale is 50, scale is 70 million clients. So let's fast forward. Think about 70 million clients. Let's dream for a moment. The problem is, if you take that growth rate, it would take you until 2050, give or take, to be at 70 million clients. That would be quite a feat. The problem is, I'd be 70, so I'm not that interested, because 70 million clients and 70 years old might sound like a match, but it's not happening in reality. So what ingredients would you need to get to 70 million clients faster? And the answer is, it can't be only direct. It's not going to fly only in direct. You need a bit more than only direct. You would need roughly 20,000 agents. You would need a similar number of brokers. You would need a couple of really, really cool bank assurance deals, and you would probably need a couple of OEMs in your boat. Otherwise, it will be very hard on the motor side. So that's a big feat to pull off. If you're a direct player, how could you possibly dream about those numbers of brokers, agents, bank assurance, and OEMs? The good news is, now coming back a bit to where I come from, which is the Allianz Group, we actually have all of these things already. We have that franchise, we have the brand, we actually have a bit more than 70 million clients in retail, we have 120 million, and if you count the globe, we have north of 100,000 agents tied and 100,000 non-tied corporation partners, and we have more than 10 really, really large partnerships. So the cool news is, we as a group, we already have scale in abundance, you might say, but we have never brought it on the same platform. If you go back to the thought of why was Direct created in 2019, it was created to crack the question how to bring together technology with all the business ingredients in one place and make it happen. That's what we can show now. And despite we still have homework here and there, we're on a reasonable track to pull this off. But what if the second thought could come true? That you build that platform and you can start to use it for the rest of the group. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be an ambition to have? You could say that's a grand plan. You could say that's even a grand vision. But I can tell you one thing that's cooler than a grand plan and grand vision is a grand plan in execution. And that is what I want to show you a bit, what we have now ahead of us, which is to take the things we have built in Direct that are now in 5 countries and they're working, how we can infuse these capabilities back to the large group. And because I can say many things here, I brought you a couple of proof points why this is actually happening. So it's not a vision, it starts to become a reality day by day. The first thing we did, again, nothing super fancy, we teamed up with our sister companies in Italy, in Germany, and we built the Direct approach also for them together. That's using technology for another business model and made it a bit more than the sum of the parts. The second piece, that's actually already much more interesting, is to say, if we venture out of Direct, what's next? Brokers is a pretty obvious case to go to. And we didn't think about it, we just did it. So last year we decided in the Netherlands, we have retail broker business, it's a bit dormant, it's not performing as great as we thought it could, so let's use the platform for this. Let's take the exact same processes, let's take the exact same products, let's take the same rating engines, add the stuff you need for brokers, you need to pay commissions, you need to have a portal, you need a couple of processes in interaction differently, but you can reuse a lot of the stuff. And that's precisely what we did. We use the same platform, the same product, the same service lines. We have 3 products live, motor, liability, and home. We'll add a 4th one in July, and then towards the end of the year, 2 more. It took us 9 months end to end, including all the go-to-market, all the contracting, all everything. The pure development piece was less than 3 months. So the coding time of the whole thing was a quarter of a year. And we're live now, 26th of April, if you're Dutch. You can see this live in the Dutch market. And we're ramping up brokers as we speak. Doubling, tripling quotes every week, and really see a nice wave. The ambition's high. We want to triple that business in the next 4 years. And we want to do so in the same fashion as we have done for Direct. We'll also cut dramatically our unit cost economics. So 3 times the size, 50% of the unit cost. That's where we're heading. And the next step is also pretty obvious, is to say, if we can do broker, if we can do aggregators, if we can do affinity, if we can do direct, banking might be a nice next place. And that's precisely what we're currently working on, how to bring that platform into a banking setup that is digitally driven. So you can see that this vision of taking what has been built in direct in 2019 till 2023 and is working now, and it's scaling now, and it's growing now, and it's making money, how you can bring this and infuse this to the rest of the group. This is not a walk in the park, this is a long journey that will take us to get there, but we have made the first steps and we can see it's working. So now, why are we doing this? What's the grand prize? And the grand prize is pretty simple from an inward-looking perspective. You can gradually bring distribution channels on the same platform because the technology really doesn't care that much. If you're on direct and aggregators, you can do brokers, you can do banks, you can do affinity, you can do embedded, you can do OEMs. All of these things are there. We have harmonized products and pricing. We'll just spin up the same products in different channels and live very happily with it. We can translate the agile way of working that we have in direct to the next neighboring business models and can run them in the same fashion. And we do so all on the same platform. That's the only non-negotiable thing in the whole setup. It has to be the same platform. We'll run on the same technology, what I showed you before. And, of course, we can then bring to bear the scale that Allianz undoubtedly has, which is many, many countries in Europe and even more across the globe. And, of course, we can bring to bear the capital balance sheet strength that we have by funding this rollout and making it really, really scaled. Now, that's a cool story inward-looking, but there's an even cooler story outward-looking. If you're consumers, you will see a super consistent go-to-market. If you take our direct page today, change the language, you wouldn't know where you are, because it's always exactly the same, and we optimize it once for everywhere. That consistency would also then come to the already #1 brand in the insurance world. It would become even more consistent. We would have even more self-service than we have today. We would have even better unit costs than we have today. We would be even better suited to play value for money to our clients. And that's a bit my personal view on this and my personal hope, if we do this long enough, we might even to create a bit of a byword to the word Allianz that has to do with disruption and innovation, something maybe not everyone would attach to us today. So that's this journey we're going through. I thank you for your attention. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you very much.